When I was in eighth grade, my two closest friends were very cute and little and blonde, and I was not any of those things. And I remember in the summer of eighth grade, when boys were beginning to get more filled in and less transparent, not they're no longer just phantoms floating down the hall. They kind of caught my attention. I remember feeling like, I don't even care if I get made fun of, but I refuse to be invisible. I will not be invisible. So, I don't think it was when ninth grade first started. I think it was probably about a month in. My mother and I engaged in this debate about how how shaved head of a shaved head was I allowed to get. And it was pretty close. Like what she like left and at the hair salon was like this very stylish, like soft looking thing. Of course, I spiked into spikes straight up with Jello, and I took a buzzer and would shave the sides shorter and shorter. So basically, I had a shaved head with not skin ball, but like the shortest setting with like a big whatever, a different colored rooster tail, depending on the week. And it was before I've discovered manic panic. So I remember one very distinct time where I was sweating, and that like blue, because I was using food coloring, blue dye ran down my face and dyed my skin. And because I had embarked on this decision that I was not going to be ignored, I took a thin Sharpie and I outlined all the blue so it looked like a fucking map of the world on my face in school. That's how I rolled. I was not ignored, but I'll tell you, it didn't make boys come a calling. But the reason I tell that anecdote is that what I wanted to kind of talk about and touch on today is compassion, and how the craziest freak that needs compassion, and so does the most conservative cheerleader. Welcome to Body of Truth. I'm Rebecca Windsor. Body of Truth was born after my life imploded. For years, I suppressed my inner voice and my intuition. And then my marriage ended with a phone call, and everything I knew as reality blew apart. And in order to rebuild my life, I knew I needed to make some really foundational changes. And to make those foundational changes stick, what I discovered is that it doesn't matter how much willpower you have or how determined you are. If you do not put those changes through your physical body and make an actual muscle memory, which becomes a new neural pathway, which actually changes your physical reality, those changes won't stick. I am after freedom, and I want that for you too. And what I offer here are all of my tips and tricks, what's worked for me in working towards freedom. I hope that you start to listen to your own intuition and maybe start a self-inquiry of your own. So the reason I start with the description of me as I can't even say like I was goth, I wore black all the time. It was so beyond that. It was full costumes for school. I remember I took garbage bags and stapled them because I couldn't sew. So a stapler and scissors were my friend. And I would literally staple clothes like together to wear them. And then sometimes they would fall apart in the middle of the day. And these one pants that I had that were garbage bags made with staples, every time I sat down, they would stab me. I mean, I was so over the top. And my poor blonde girlfriends, who to their credit, stuck by me. All they wanted to do was be shy and cute. And I'd walk in like, happy Halloween, late. I mean, they really kind of stood by me when I was like a complete spectacle. At my 10-year reunion, I had more than one cheerleader or our girl that made my life so fucking miserable come up to me and say how much they were jealous of the fact that I did whatever the fuck I wanted. I did high school on my terms. I was a badass. And to hear that shocked the shit out of me. Because you know what I did? I wore those costumes as an armor, and I went home and cried to Morrissey every day. I was so beyond lonely and isolated, no one could possibly feel the depths of the heartbreak that I felt. And as an adult, I know now that we all felt that way. I don't care how secure you are in your friend group. I mean, those girls that were in that tight clique had to perform for that tight clique. And were they ever allowed to really be themselves? Not until they got out of high school. And I would say that the few that I don't connect with now, that, once in a while when you run into someone, are those where their best days were that way and they've not evolved. So what I offer you is that obviously we all don't know what's going on the surface, right? People are very quick to present themselves in a not vulnerable way. They paint on their face. They go through the motions that everything is perfect. But you never really know what's going on inside with someone. So when you start to feel triggered, I offer to you to just take a moment and know that they're probably dealing with something that has nothing to do with you. One of the 4 agreements, which is a short book, which I think every human being should read, is that you should not take things personally and that you should not make assumptions. And just those 2 rules, and I'll tell you the rest too. The first one is that you are impeccable with your word and that you should always do your best is the 4th one. But I'll cover those other ones in a different video, which I'll link below when it's made. So those 2 rules of not taking things personally, because they're hardly ever about you. People are inside their own heads going like, you're going, oh my God, she's looking at me. Am I missing a button? Is my bra strap showing? Meanwhile, in her head, she's like, bananas, half and half. Shit, what am I forgetting? Like, it has so nothing to do with you. And if you don't ask questions like, you have a questioning look on your face. Is there something I can help you with? Is there something that I did that if you don't ask questions, you're going to jump to assumptions. And if you don't jump to a benevolent assumption, you've started this big, long story in your head that probably, most likely, is completely untrue. Is it based in evidence? No. You're jumping to conclusions. So there's 2 ways to combat this. First of all is ask questions. Are you all right? It looks like we're not communicating on the same page. Is there something I'm missing? Or is everything good? Those kinds of questions. She could be like, oh, no. I'm thinking about 17 other things. I'm so sorry. Let me come back and be present, right? Like, that's really how it's probably going to come out. It's very easy and trigger to start looking at other people and start making those pronouncements and judgments. It's when you feel judged. She's looking at me. Well, look at her. Or your defenses go up because you're feeling vulnerable and you start making judgments as a place of armor. And if we can all move just a little bit closer to compassion for ourselves and for others, and also asking questions instead of making assumptions and not taking things personally, not only will you be far happier, but your relationships will be much cleaner. Because even if they're uncomfortable answering the question or they don't answer the question, at least you know you kept your side of the street clean by asking it. So that's what I leave you with today. The next time you spot someone who looks like they have it all together and you feel that little spike of, damn, the fuck, she's got it, like everything is perfect for her. I bet it's not. I bet it's not. She may have more money, but she goes to bed lonely every night, even though she's married. Or she's in this amazing, loving relationship and you feel lonely, but she can barely pay her bills. Like everybody has something that they work on, that they're tortured by. And the people that aren't, I got to tell you, that's boring to me. I love our imperfect humanity, and that's who I'm drawn to. Because in our imperfections is our grace and our beauty. So today I invite you to look at those things. I hope this was beneficial. Maybe take off the outer mask that we make assumptions by looking at, and maybe you could look a little bit further inside both yourself and others. If you found this helpful at all, please, of course, subscribe. Share it with someone that you think might benefit. And if you click the link below, you'll get all the inside scoop on all the exciting things I have in the works coming up for you. I upload every day, and I will see you tomorrow.